So the other day I was surfing Warthunder Steam discussions and I bumped into this. A guy named Wang wrote a heartfelt open letter to the player base about the current state of the game, and how he feels Gaijin is intentionally capitalizing on people's fear of letting go, also known as sunk cost fallacy, the unfortunate state of the game. I deleted the game again a couple weeks ago. As most long-time players understand, it's not a healthy game to keep playing mentally, nor is it really fun anymore. My first couple matches after 2 weeks weren't good, and my third had a cheater using wall hacks. Most people make fun of players such as myself who bring up cheaters. But believe me when I say I understand 80% of the bad experiences people have are just good old Gaijin. However, to ignore and downplay the fact that there are cheaters is unrealistic, as they exist and there's plenty of proof. In any case, that's not what I'm here to talk about. The current state of the game is pretty sad. Without premium or playing like a sweat, it still mentally abuses its players with the gameplay and playstyles encouraged. I have talked to people on this subject and most people agree. While it's free to play, hardly any players are, and the ones who are don't really play the game. While the ones that do, mostly all do the same things and emulate the same online personalities. The abuse I refer to is what the gameplay overall does to people. I got people into this game and they have gone through the same stages of happiness, excitement I had in the beginning, straight to pain, anger and strife as they got deeper into the grind. None of the people I know who play haven't spent money on this game, and that in of itself compels people to force themselves back on the game. We can't let go of the money we could have spent on something better. Whether it be groceries, a movie, going out with friends, it drags us back in droves and is truly an evil thing. If you think about the pricing of the items in the store, it becomes clear. It convinces you it's the price of a new game or several smaller games, several movies, DLC, a few subscriptions, etc. And that makes you think you need to get your money's worth. A friend of mine is going through this exact problem, and I'm trying to convince him to just drop it and move on. Otherwise, he'll just get back on it and it will get worse. This is all linked in part with their new changes to events, which in my opinion are designed to bring players back with more events and removal of crafting events to entice players like I said. The newest one is the 10.0 Chinese experimental MBT or something along those lines that has a 600 plus penetration dart out the gates. Who wouldn't re-download the game to get that? I did, and I deleted the game again without a second thought. In the end, we all sacrifice for a single win. Is a dopamine rush worth hours of torment? I don't think so. What do you guys think? Alright, let me first of all say, I totally agree with the first part. It's funny that a game like Warthunder that is so much infested by cheaters, to the point that 40k players just got banned due to cheating, no thanks to Gaijin by the way, it still doesn't have a cheating option in its reporting feature. It was all done by a Chinese player infiltrating cheating communities and making a log file of all the source codes for different Chinese cheat makers. We now have an option to report players for botting, but we don't have the option to report cheaters directly through the game. You might ask why? Because botting directly affects Gaijin's earnings, but cheaters don't. Botters are selling their services on third-party websites, but cheaters are risking a huge deal and that might get them banned in the process. And they will make new accounts and buy the same vehicles. And still to this date, Gaijin has not provided a reasonable solution against hackers. On top of that, there is this problem with certain mixtures of nations in certain BRs. For example, United States mixed with Russia in top tier is most likely a guaranteed loss. Players who have a good head on their shoulders already know that the Russian bias, at least since 2018, is a myth. Gaijin buffs and nerfs countries on a rotation, because this way it's much easier to squeeze or push players to play premiums of certain BR ranges of certain nations. For example, right now Sweden is probably the best performing nation across all BRs in ground battles. A part of it is because Sweden is a smaller nation, so the majority of players are indeed experienced players finishing their second or third victory, but a large factor is still superior vehicles, which in case of Sweden is more focused on AAs, IFVs, helicopters and of course their better versions of Leopards. Now about the rest of this letter by Mr. Wang. This reminds me of a discussion I had with an individual that used to work in Activision. He was having a trouble with himself because of the process and tricks they had to pull in their battle pass systems to maximize the time they could keep players engaged and keeping the prices low enough so players would actually choose to buy the battle passes. Now when it gets to Warthunder's battle pass, I like the battle pass. I don't grind every single one of them, but whenever I get the chance to, I try to buy them right at the beginning of the season. I can assure you that Gaijin's battle pass is nowhere near other companies in terms of tricks and I guess abusing the rewarding system of our brain. And I am by no means a Gaijin shill, alright? You can go through my past videos, I call them out for their mistakes and I praise them for the things they do right. Because end of the day I enjoy this game. But I ain't gonna be no slave to no company. Well, except for YouTube I guess. Now the problem starts with these questions. How can we blame companies for unanimously using certain tricks and psychological studies to maximize their profits? Wasn't these the same tactics that have been used in marketing for the past 50 years? At what point we should put aside the agency of players and blame the companies? I mean, of course, lefties and commies gonna be blaming companies for everything, and of course Gaijin is no saint at all. But the reality is simple, man. Yes, I think Warthunder should move its recommended age group from 12 to probably 16 or something. The game does feature gambling elements and is pretty addictive. But unfortunately, gaming industry, despite being the most profitable entertainment industry, is still relatively new and unregulated. So the best we can do is actually to spread awareness, and it takes every single Warthunder content creator to push that narrative to the consumers. Because if you let this game, it will destroy you. And to answer the second question, in this current day and age, every product is designed to keep us engaged and interested. Most of us now consume light drinks, heavily processed food, and high-efficiency carbs. Everything gives us cheap dopamine hits, and even beyond ingredients, there are a lot of ways in advertisement to make us come back to those products. Anything from ingredients to packaging, to color schemes, or advertisement that is built in or bound to other interesting activities. They all could be as malicious as Warthunder. And I think it's stupid to pick this practice over everything else and call companies evil just because people are not really aware of it. So at what stage we should put aside the agency of the players? Well, I don't really know the answer to this one. It will most likely depend on the age of the consumer, their employment status, and many other things. But there is something that can be a good argument against it. Yes, we have to pull the ADHD card. I know guys, it's pretty cringe at this point in time. Many people wear these labels to justify their incompetence, and the average monkey, TikTok/Instagram content creators are making shit ton of money capitalizing on this weird obsession of Gen Z with mental illnesses. But the reality is, ADHD and perhaps autism, despite being overdiagnosed, have been skyrocketing in the newer generations, and especially in younger and adult males. One could argue that no, the problem is more of a social construct. Boys are more socially engineered and encouraged to like video games, and that's why these stats are rising. Which is just dumb. Men have a different approach to goals and objectives. Our reward center of the brain works differently, and we are slowly realizing the harms of these newer mechanics in video games. Through thousands of years of evolution, we found the most efficient cycle of effort and reward in our brains. We are witnessing in real time that men are struggling in academic achievement and white-collar jobs. Men show higher percentages of substance abuse, and the list goes on and on. But I swear to God, if I see one of these Alex Jones fans in my comment section talking about fluoride in tap water and turning the frogs gay, I'm gonna sentence you to 10 years of daily Warthunder grind if you bring that shit in here. But I'm a good guy, okay? So I make a counter argument for that as well, so you don't feel the need to comment anymore. We are a generation raised on very efficient and heavily processed food, great at stimulating video games, having great shows a few clicks away from us, social media, wider access to sex and adult content. If it was 5,000 years ago, you had to get out there to hunt animals and bring them back to the tribe to receive the validation you can get from social media these days. There was no way that you would receive the same amount of energy from any other food source as easy as processed sugar. Since you were born, everything you've seen around you was monetized and advertised for you. You are the target audience of the most predatory types of content. Now unfortunately, society doesn't really give a fuck about it, otherwise they would be regulating these video games and other stuff much sooner. But what we can do is to talk about them enough, and stop pointing fingers at companies who only care about money and expect them to have a moral compass. Take back the agency that you inherently had, and try to play the games not for escapism, but to have a genuine good time with or without your friends. There is no need to push yourself to grind the newest vehicles. A lot of us, the older players, realized that years ago. If you have free time, try to set some personal goals for yourself. If you enjoy playing lower BR vehicles, just do that. Who gives a fuck about grinding the top tier vehicles? Especially when the game arguably is much worse at top tier. The grind never ends in this game, dude. And if you let it, it will consume you. And with that, every single moment of fun you had with it. Alright everybody, hopefully you enjoyed watching this video. Like and subscribe because we need it. Thanks for watching, and be seeing ya.